Hey guys, it's Blockchain Brad, and today I'm very excited to talk with two friends of mine, I guess you could say, in the blockchain space. I know them both. We have Adam Chaplin, the CEO of Concierge.io. Adam, thank you so much for being on the channel.
Thank you for having us. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Likewise, mate. And of course, we have Paul Spallini. He is the CTO of Concierge.io. Spoken to him before. Welcome, Paul, to the channel once again.
Great to be here. Good to see you again, Brad.
Likewise, mate. So today I heard that you have some exciting news on various fronts. And, we could probably talk about that first, but let's just do a bit of a debrief on, firstly, Concierge.io and your backgrounds.
Okay, well, I'm the CEO. I'm very much heavily involved with the travel side of it because we've been in travel for 25 years in Asia. We got into crypto sort of 4 or 5 years ago and really launched this idea sort of a year ago now. So blockchain's perfect for travel, quite simply, and Neo is perfect for what we want as well. So that's a very quick sort of synopsis of what we're doing.
And we appreciate that because this is an update, guys. If you're not familiar with Concierge.io, there's other videos you can check out. But also to note that the slogan, essentially, if you're not familiar with Concierge.io, is the online travel booking marketplace. So once again, it's all about trying to connect you with different destinations around the world using blockchain technology, unlike it's ever been done before. So Paul, let's talk about you, mate. You know, we did that once before, but in a nutshell.
30 years plus in technology, cutting edge technologist, love blockchain, love Neo even more, and came on board with this project, and blockchain and travel booking of our nature were just made for each other. So that's it in a nutshell.
We appreciate that as well. Brevity is always a good thing when we want to talk about the good stuff, and that is what you're about as an entity, as a company, as a project. So let's talk about that in the context of updates. I've read online and seen online your marketplace link. It's exciting. That implies you have an alpha all ready to go. So, Paul, Adam, tell us about that, mate, as the CEO. Why are you excited about it?
Well, an alpha is a very basic model, and normally you wouldn't see an alpha before we got through that stage, but we wanted to put it up there to let people know that we've actually started the development. There's a lot going on there. It doesn't appear to be a lot, but there's an awful lot going on in the background, and what we're building in the background is obviously against the blockchain, the smart contracts. So when you look at it, it's just for Vietnam, but it's like our test phase, really, and we're going to get all the bugs out and do all the programming, but I'll just quickly hand over to Paul on that one.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, we basically developed our alpha project ahead of the ICO, so we were actually able to provide people with something they can utilize before the ICO. It's very unusual. Normally with an ICO, people will put their money in, and then a year or two later they'll actually see the product of what actually is being produced. With the developers working in background. We've actually developed utilizing the pre-sale funds, an actual working model, utilizing the blockchain as our booking system to give people the ability to actually book. We've actually been taking bookings. So prior to the ICO, we've got a fully working product, a fully working limited product.
Right.
Again, as Adam says, it's an alpha. We've opened our doors to the development itself very, very early on. Normally, you wouldn't see a product until it's ready for release or maybe a public beta testing. We've actually opened our doors on the alpha. It's very feature limited at the moment, but we wanted to get it out there. We're showing that we've actually got something. It's not just vaporware, which is always a major concern for people, is they're putting money into the people. We've actually enabled it to be into the people and the product itself.
Right. And Paul, we really appreciate that, obviously, in this space. We very rarely talk about projects that have applications in present day. We very rarely see blockchains that have actual utility, and that's why I always supported you right from the beginning, because you always plan to integrate that along with your ICO and respect the fact that people want to see at the grassroots you're doing stuff, not just, so you're not vaporware. You've made that clear. I've personally had a look at your alpha, product online, which is exciting because you can actually see different companies, and then you can see right down to price points of how this will operate in a much larger scale later. But I guess underpinning this, you have an exciting roadmap ahead. You have key points you want to do, but right now your focus is specifically on building out this alpha.
That's correct, yes. We're developing the alpha. The alpha will actually be continued to be developed and evolved as we are fully planning out the beta. So the beta will be the all singing, all dancing first version. As with anything, it will grow, but it will have an enhanced booking system. It will have the proper payment and fiat integration, so people will actually be able to pay with fiat, and the property owners will actually be able to receive their funds with fiat, while the token is still being utilized in the backbone.
I see.
System, which is the main thing, because otherwise people turn around and say, well, why couldn't I just use PayPal or something of that nature to pay somebody?
Yep.
If I'm putting fiat in one end and fiat and getting fiat out the other end. But then they wouldn't be getting the great discounts, they wouldn't be getting the dispute resolution, they wouldn't be getting the trusted reviews, and in an environment where trust is open to interpretation, we're giving the trust back to both parties. One, that the people are getting what it is exactly they're after, i.e. the client, and the other is that the hotel owner actually gets the money at the end, provided they've given the service.
Right. So let's talk about it in numbers as well. Sorry to interrupt, Paul, but I think it relates to what you may have wanted to say, and that is with regard to the marketplace itself. Obviously, being an alpha, we're talking about small numbers right now, but let's get specific with what you can offer for as we move into ICO, with regard to interacting interacting in the marketplace.
Okay, at the moment we have a limited number of properties in Vietnam. We have probably 2 of the luxury environments and property, both Vinpearl and FLC.
They're actually the 2 biggest companies in Vietnam.
Right, okay. Thank you. They are the jewel in Vietnam's properties. They are incredible properties, and we've got them at very good prices. People are able to book those and actually then go and visit those properties at those prices.
Right, and Paul, what I liked about that, and also Adam, I'll address this to you, when I had a look, I like how you have situated this very clearly in the blockchain space by having the fiat price, but also having your own token price.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, the more people that use the token, the better that is for A, our investors, and B, for cryptocurrency as a whole to grow throughout the ecosystem. So that's important. So we need it in both, but they need to log on before they can actually start using it in fiat. So they can have a look at it as it is with just having it in the token, but they can log on and they can use it in fiat or the token. And this, we feel, we're still on test mode, will bring a lot more people into the crypto market, because when they can see it's not just about a currency, it's about a contract, or a token as we call it now, and they can see that it brings the trust back into travel. It's a huge thing for cryptocurrency when we make this work.
Right.
I don't think people really fully understand just how big this is, because they don't know the problems with travel. They tend to book on the big platforms, and of course they trust them.
Yes.
They don't realize just how much they pay for that trust on the marketing wagon. So this is a game changer. It's a huge saving for the client. It's a much improved service, and this comes about by using the blockchain. And we're not trying to make it complicated for people. They don't really care, a lot of people, about the blockchain, but if it gets them what they want with a guaranteed service and it's cheaper, and they start to look, listen, and get involved in crypto.
Okay, so guys, could you tell us a bit more about your ICO? Obviously, that's you've planned this perfectly with the release of your alpha. Your ICO is coming up. You must be so excited about that.
Well, yeah, we're stoked. We sold out so quickly on the pre-ICO. We were surprised because we didn't overly market that, and that went out very quickly. We've had huge interest. I was speaking to Gillian Godsill from Neo News yesterday, and they're doing a piece on us. We've got a lot of people. CNBC have come and want to do a piece on us. We've got a lot of exposure coming out that we're not paying for. People now have started to pick us up. So we've got a real push into the ICO. Now, the problem we have, it's not always going to be a sunny day. It's obviously one about the market's low.
Right.
We're super confident that Neo's going to bounce back, certainly within the end of the year. So we're going to peg the price of that to $115 on the Neo, which gives everybody a great chance that didn't know about us before to get involved. Maybe not as cheaply as the pre-ICO, but certainly getting quite close to it. So I think it's actually going to work in our favour and work in the favour of, again, bringing more people on board.
And I'm glad that we talked about that too, Adam, because knowing that you've pegged it gives people that sort of assurance and that security and peace of mind that it is reasonably stable
as I was saying, that's why we're going to use, we're looking forward to the ICO. A lot of people have approached it wrongly, really. We know that we don't know, nobody can know, but we're super confident with Neo, what it can do, its transactions, and also when people realize, we call Neo the business blockchain because we believe that real businesses with real world value will be going on Neo. It's a no-brainer. There may be other blockchains coming out. I'm not just going to endorse one blockchain. People can make up their own mind. But Neo's there now. It's a market leader. They've tested to 5,000 on the testnet now. They've got a great community. I know it hurts people when Neo's low, but it can't always be a sunny day, But even when it's raining, the silver lining for the Neo people that are putting their money in is that we're going to give them a price that we feel is more than fair, because without them, we're nothing, and without us, Neo will never grow. So it's a me casa, su casa scenario, right?
Exactly, and the reality is we are talking about very few platforms that can do what Neo can do right now.
We are now involved with the Neo community. It wasn't easy initially because obviously we hadn't done the pre-ICO, and people are like, well, we've heard, it's a white paper. Let's have a look what you can do, what you can deliver. Now we're starting to deliver. They've contacted us, and Paul has now done.
We're actually finding an incredible amount of support within the Neo community, and we are supporting the Neo community. Recently, there was a call from City of Zion to actually provide nodes in order to prop up and support the community as a whole, and we provided a total of 10 nodes, which is approximately 13% of the actual Neo node infrastructure.
Wow.
We're very much of a mind that I've come from a sailing background. One of my loves is sailing, and that is very much a case of you look after other people because you never know when you might need help yourself.
Exactly.
And finding that very much in this as a community, people help each other. There's not a domain building here. There's not a possessiveness. We're out here building together, and that's one thing we really like. So we're very much behind Neo. We like it. We like the people. We like the community. We like the product. Something very incredible would have to come along for us to ever move. Not saying we never would.
And right. And respectfully, Paul, it makes sense because you are situated in an area in the Asian belt whereby Neo has the main position. They have a serious stake, let's say, not just in China, but throughout that region, and that makes sense for you to have that alliance with them. And it's important you also mention the COZ because, once again, they are a separate entity to Neo, but certainly they have no doubt synergistic support, and they have reciprocal support for each other, and that's what you're building with them as an ecosystem.
Definitely, and I would be remiss in saying that it was originally considered to be the Chinese Ethereum, and I know I've been reading and listening that there is far more uptake of Neo within the global market and within China itself. So that is a massive market, and already having a foot in the door with their own blockchain is we're not relying on that, but it certainly would be an advantage moving forward.
Absolutely. And also, just to move across to what Adam was saying before about, oh, my apologies, I've lost your screen. So what Adam was saying before with regard to essentially the scalability, what's exciting about that is that, yes, we're looking at 5,000, as you mentioned now, Adam, but certainly by 2020, we're looking at a very different situation with potentially 100,000 TPS minimum of actual performance, not theoretical performance, which is a very different thing to what we're hearing right now in this space. Gentlemen, if we could talk now about more of the real-world utility, because obviously that's one of your selling points. You talked about the alpha right now, but what can you expect for the average user in 2018 and beyond?
Okay, well, at the moment, we're very much going down the hotel and the resort loading of businesses because it's probably the easiest one to do through. We can do massive loads from platform managers, and we can get a lot on earlier. But we also want to put on the tours and the trips, which we're going on, nobody else is doing. And another big one that people don't really realise are the holiday exchanges. So you've got a house in Australia,
That's right.
I've got a house in the UK. Normally we'd have, if we're friends, we connect and we might come to each other's house or otherwise, but that's another massive market for us as well. So it's not just about hotels and resorts, it's the whole smorgasbord, and we want that to grow as much as it possibly can. The blockchain puts us so far in front of our competition. I don't know if you've read the stuff on travel recently, that the big travel companies that have got nothing to do with blockchain at the moment are literally in a bit of a panic because they're like, What's blockchain? Shit, we should be on that. Sorry for swearing.
Yeah, no, I think that they would be definitely saying, "Oh shit," for sure.
And even the really big ones like Priceline are starting to deny it now, as opposed to sort of go with it. But there's some big companies out there now going, "Oh, we better get on this one quickly." So in essence, when you're out in front first and you're on a blockchain that can really do the business, then you're certainly in with a fighting chance of really of taking them on, not just disrupting them. Yes, if we disrupt and we take 1% of the market, that's still billions of dollars. That's great for all the investors.
Right.
But what if we could really take them on and change the market?
Exactly.
That's exciting. And that's what we're going for.
Yes, and what we like about your situation and your company is that you're in pole position. You've really built out this early on, and that's also going to be key for surviving the downturns in markets, is making sure that you have blockchain readiness right from the outset, and that's certainly what you've worked hard to achieve. Let's talk now. You mentioned before about some specific hotels, and I wrote down a few of them. You mentioned the Vin Pearl and the FLC Luxury Resort. So essentially they're based in Vietnam at the moment. Let's talk about that in the context of how we could use the token system. When can that be done?
You can buy on with your tokens now, today. I've been able to for nearly sort of 3 or 4 days. So if you have tokens now, you can go onto the site and you can spend. We've got it in dollars and we've got it in a token value. Go to the required accommodation, Vin Pearl, Samsung Resort, Golf Resort. Take a villa there for 10 people for I think it's about $380 a night, or the equivalent in tokens is about 900. Right. I go into my calculator, so you can spend that straight away.
Okay.
We take it straight away. So if you bought tokens, right, for this ICO, and nothing in life is guaranteed. But let's say worst scenario, there was no up, there was no down. You would certainly get your value for money out of it. By the different properties in different countries that we put in the future. So it's sort of a no lose if you travel, and let's face it, most of us do. So if it doesn't go as big as we want it to, but we've got 20 or 30,000 properties on, and 20 or 30,000 resorts, and 20 or 30,000 tours, 20 or 30,000 trips, pretty good choice, and you can keep on spending your token for a while. Of course, we want the token to go up, and we're going to work on that, and we're pretty sure we can. But it's one of these rare ICOs where you've sort of got no lose on this, as long as you're holiday, right?
Exactly, and the reality is that, as you said, you've already had your private and pre-sales, so there are people already have a stake in tokens currently. You want it to be used, you want it to be people interact, you want people to holiday, and that's the key point.
Well, we can actually, with the way we've actually set the system up, people can actually hodl if they want.
Okay.
And there are advantages in utilizing the token. We're also enabling the utilization of gas as well. So if you're hodling and then generating your gas, you're in effect getting free holidays.
I see.
And we will have gateways between fiat, our token, where there will be an exchange system in place, which will then at the other end, the token can then be exchanged for fiat. That transaction itself will actually be making the market, because there is a time differential between when it's actually put into the smart contract, when it actually comes out the smart contract. There will be a price differential that is not actually borne by the users, because if you buy a property for one night at $100, the property owner 2 months later will get that same $100 out. The system is inherently able to handle the ebbs and flows of the market, both with the realization that we will sometimes make money, sometimes not make as much money, but also we will have hedging in place in the background that will enable us to still facilitate our business. The reason we're doing it in this way is because, as I said before, we're in a fiat world.
Right.
When it eventually comes to the position of everybody's using cryptocurrency, there won't be any need for that. So that won't be necessary. Right now, we're fiat. We've got to be able to take money, standard fiat, and we don't want to penalize people for exchanging, for the process, and then we will be able to provide them with a win situation.
I see.
And in case anybody is interested how we make our money,
of course,
this is an investment. We will be generating advertising revenue, similar way that Facebook or Google do with featured properties.
Right.
But also from the perspective of the greater service we provide the more people are going to be using our service, the more the token is going to be utilized, the more value we acquire within the token itself.
Perfect segue into sort of looking at this from a longitudinal perspective, because as sort of Adam was alluding to already, we've seen a small amount of growth from the initial price point of the pre and private sale, investor perspective. But if we talk about this and the potential for let's say in the next year even, certainly if someone's considering even being the world traveller or let's start with Asia for the beginning, there's no question that there's a potential there for the utility to grow, thus the token to grow, and therefore many more holidays than they anticipated to become possible.
Indeed.
I mean, correct. I mean, we've got a working example of somebody that's actually from Vietnam, because we're looking at each case by case, and they came in on the whitelist pre-sale, and they got in sort of just over sort of 10 cents.
Right.
But when it comes to booking now, we're giving a value of 35 cents on the token. They also they're getting a 30 to 40% discount on the accommodation if they hadn't gone through Booking.com. So they're getting a room that would have cost them $100 in the real world for $8.50.
Right, and there you go. And there's plenty of room for growth as we look at the numbers for your company, and that's what's exciting. You don't have to have been in the private or pre-sales because some people simply didn't access that. But certainly, as it builds out, we will see arguably this company build far beyond what it is now.
Well, actually, everyone's been like, oh no, Neo's down, the market's down. When it comes to this sale now, we've made it an advantage for those that didn't get involved early, with the Neo being down and pegging it high. So they're not getting quite as cheap as the pre-sale, but it's not a million miles away.
Right, and I'm sure they appreciate that, no doubt. So, gentlemen, if we wanted to find out more, if we wanted to access more information about Concierge.io, again, where could we go to do that, given that there are updates that you are posting?
Obviously on your YouTube channel, Brad.
That's right.
We also, a friend of yours, a guy called Crypto Zombie, who's a great guy. We have got an interview with Crypto Bud.
Great guy.
I don't know him that well. He seems like a very nice chap.
He really is.
But I've never really watched him. We've always watched you. I'm sure he's
excellent.
We also on Neo News. And there's a lot of, when it comes to other synergies and partnerships, I'll just quickly hand over to Paul. We're not just involved with ourselves now. We have partnerships with some other big ones now.
Oh, that's exciting.
Well, the other main places that you can find out about us, of course, are on the Telegram channels, on Twitter, on Facebook. Our main site, which is actually the alpha itself, is concierge.io. And the actual sale information is on our token website, which is token.concierge.io.
Okay, and I'll make sure that we put that at the bottom of the screen for both of you. It's been an absolute privilege to speak with you, as always. Is there anything either of you would like to add as an update?
Yes, other than obviously we love you, Brad. And please,
likewise,
like and subscribe to this chap. He really, if you know anything about blockchain, he may not be the most entertaining, but he absolutely knows his stuff. And when it comes down to it, you need the real information delivered. So press the like button now for Brad. Please be aware, those that are getting involved in our ICO, that we had very few registrations when we sold out very quickly on the pre-sale, the whitelist and the pre-ICO. We've got probably in the region of 20,000 pre-registrations now. We haven't got a huge amount. We're not going for a huge amount. It'll be around sort of 5 million on the figure that we've released on the peg to the Neo. So in the first 3 hours, if you want to be involved in this, I'm just going to let you know, we'll be surprised if it goes past 3 hours.
I see. So essentially, it's capped. There's not an unlimited supply, and you've heard it from the boss. You've heard it from the CEO himself, from Adam Chaplin. Be aware. You're expecting about 3 hours.
We've got a little bet on, but if you do the maths on it, it should be less, but it's going to be very quick, sure.
Right. And what about you, Paul? If you could think of one thing you want to address for the community, just with regard to how Concierge.io is going and where they're going in the future, what would you say?
Watch this channel. I don't mean just you. I mean, watch what we're doing.
Yep.
We're going to be holding a very open alpha. The progression, the features will be added along the way. So keep coming back, keep seeing what there is, keep your ears open and eyes open on the different channels. The features, the search enhancements, the payment gateways, the extra features. Also, once we move along a little bit, we're going to be introducing a whole heap of new properties. At the moment, we've done in effect the proof of concept on just Vietnam, but I can see very shortly that we will be moving not just into Southeast Asia, but potentially global with some of the associations and partnerships we're forming.
That sounds very exciting. So, gentlemen, on behalf of all those who've wanted to hear an update from what is an up-and-coming, exciting travelling marketplace, that's you. We have the update. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to the next update coming soon with more information of what you're doing. But for now, the alpha is out. You can check it out online. Certainly you can find out more information. Check out the information also about different companies that are connected. And don't forget, we are seeing blockchain hit the travel marketplace like never before. It's a real utility. It is a real business. And you have an exciting future ahead of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Have a nice day, buddy. Thank you again.
Thanks, mate.